Riccardo is he's an architect. He's trained as an architect, but also as an artist, and is currently working, I would say, right in between the two disciplines. He's working both as a freelancer, mostly for art projects. He's been exhibiting, I think, in 3 continents, no, Ricky? South America, in Asia.
Now sounds like super fancy, but yeah.
No, I think it's nice how you also. I think it's also interesting how you, let's say, work, or how you find opportunities for making new projects. Now, looking at art grants and open calls and things like that. I think it's something that everyone is kind of looking at these days, especially. So that's an interesting side to it. Yeah. Anyways, like, I think Rick is mostly working. Correct me if I'm wrong. In interactive arts. Mm-hmm. So multimedia arts. So it's gonna show us some of our works, and I think it's an interesting crossbreed between architecture, as it deals with space and usually with physical installations, and with digital arts, because it explores like the use of data that you pull from the internet, or of in this case manipulation of digital models. Yeah. So
thank you.
Today, so the scope of the workshop today is to start from the scan that hopefully we all managed to get, at least one, as Max has asked you, and then go through a process which involves a new software, which is this time completely freeware, that allows you to manipulate that model in real time according to different inputs. And Rick is going to show us how we can use sound as an input, as a source of manipulation. But I think once you get familiar with the overall workflow, you will be able to use whatever input you like. Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So, thanks a lot for the nice words. Yeah. So yeah, shall I just start, or shall we wait, or I'll just start.
We can start.
So
yeah.
I will just share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, as you said, yeah, I have a background as an architect, but also I studied a master in media art, and since some years I'm yeah, working with digital installation, sound art, but also real-time data. So this is kind of the connection point with the theme of this session, which is processing, and I thought I could kind of contribute, maybe less on the kind of point cloud technical things, but more on the real-time data. And yeah, when I say real-time, it's also sound. So whatever data it's registered in real time. So I will briefly show you some of my works and some other works which are more related with this, with our current setup. So point clouds, 3D scans, and photogrammetry from other artists and friends. And then I will give you this brief introduction to Touch Designer. I don't know if you're familiar with the software already or not. I assumed not. So the live session on Touch Designer would be quite basic, but still would give you the opportunity to play with real-time data and point clouds or 3D scans. So yeah, I will just start presenting some of my works, which deal with sound and real-time data. So some years ago. So maybe I show you one of my first project was this installation called Relative Space, and was a big project where basically we had room responding to with basically those ropes that was pulling the fabric and creating space according to the people movements. So we used a kind of setup of different sensors in the room to track the visitors. And yeah, this was one of the first works that I've done with like real-time data, or like probably one of the biggest one also. Some years ago, so I also founded a collective with other two friends of mine. One Japanese artist called Asako, and another French guy called Maxime Letelier, and we do stuff with real-time data, and especially with data related to space and satellites. So we did these two projects called Satellarium, where we played with real-time feed of satellites. This is a visualization of the satellites passing in the place of the location. The satellites were generating this kind of abstract visuals, but they would also generate sounds in real time. And this was how the setup looked like. So it was a circular projection on a screen. And yeah, we did several versions of the same piece. We played, we used some other data related to the sun. So there is this effect that the sun with solar radiation deviates the signal of the satellites and produce noise if the satellite is in between the Earth and the sun. So yeah, so we created basically a piece that was also generating sound and noise based on the position of the satellites and on the position of the sun. And one of another work we used with real-time data was this much more complex work, at least in terms of data sets, because we used the recordings from LIGO. I don't know if you know it. It's a interferometer in US. And at Stanford and Livingston, and one in Italy. So it's like huge devices that use laser technology to basically register data of gravitational waves produced by black holes and yeah, massive supernovas explosions. So yeah, now I won't like focus too much on this project. There's a lot of stuff to say. So I will just show you how this looked like. And this was also an installation which, yeah, ran in real time and using the data of the recording. Actually, this was not real time, sorry. We used the recording of one event related to the discovery of this black hole in 2015. Which also got the award, the Nobel Prize for Physics, to the team. And this was how the data looked like. So there are like the three different detections in the three different interferometers, and we basically, the whole idea was to use the same tools they used to record this data, which is laser light, mirrors, and sound. And visualize this like very complex data strain with the same tools they used to record it. That was kind of the idea. And during my practice, I got also interested with nature, and in general with this idea of time, which also connects a bit to this real time. And like ever-changing data sets, so that you create a system which use this data, but you actually never see the system running before you actually run it, which for us it was quite interesting, and but it's always a kind of surprise what you do. And in this project, I started from these pictures from NASA. It's a project launched by NASA some years ago called Pictures of Change. And it's basically, it's a picture, so it's a project which use satellites pictures of many areas around the globe, and compare the pictures of years ago to the pictures now, to basically focus on the climate change. So the idea was to emulate, so create the digital artwork which would emulate nature, but would also connect to the social media aspect. So we basically created this fluid system. This is a real-time generated system of which resembles a fluid, and basically we connect this system with the real-time feed of messages on Twitter related to climate change. So it was a bit research to see how much the topic was talked in the medias, but also to kind of use the same aesthetic of those pictures to basically create an audiovisual work that would connect these two points. And the installation was running also in real time and was a projection. So the movement of the visitors, so there was a sensor tracking the visitors, and the movement of the visitors were translated into the visuals. So you see those fluids moving. Basically, the tweet generates those puffs, those smoke, and the visitor could move the flow, basically, by moving in the room. And I think an interesting part of this project, as I say, that is that you never know how the outcome is gonna be before you run the project. And I just checked after this coronavirus situation, so I restarted the patch, and I noticed that now this attention on social media, it's way less than it was 6 months ago when I first developed the project. So here you see the situation of tweets about climate change now, and it's way less playful. So I tried to do the same with tweets about COVID-19, and this is what you get out of it. So you see the shader. Okay, now the resolution it's a bit bad, but it's much more dynamic. And another project I did also in the same way, it's also related to Twitter again, and it was more about this the idea of having this digital post as a kind of an organic entity, so give this kind of connection with nature and natural processes to a Twitter post. So I basically created a shader in GLSL which was emulating this phenomenon in old films prior to 53, I think, of this nitrate decomposition of the films. There is a huge archive in Italy which collects a lot of damaged frames from movies that you can consult. And so basically I recreated this system that would destroy a picture over time. And the idea was to post a Twitter post every day forever. Obviously it would never work because I don't have patience to post every day, but once in a while. So basically, according to the views of the post on Twitter, this process would, like the program would post the frame according to the views. So if you imagine like views as frames in a movie, according to how many views you have online, the program would post the related picture, so that at the end you would have a progression in this erosion over time. So yeah, then I will show you one of the latest work. This I did with the company where I'm working on right now, and it's so far the biggest installation we have done. I've done. And it's big light installation in a mirror space, so it's a kind of infinity room, and with a light sculpture of more than 500 OLEDs, double-sided, which are controlled by a system in real time, and you also have a network of sensors on the ceiling, which tracks the visitors and animate the lights and the sound in real time according to your position. This was a very rare case in which a very open-minded client with also a lot of money, which was a pharmaceutical company in Germany, was willing to invest some money into art installation, which was not basically, which could have no message basically, or we were quite free on the artistic part and concept. So yeah, we also created this system. So this is a software which is similar to what we will use later. It's called V4, and it's node-based software as well. And yeah, basically, as you see here, we use some shaders. So we developed like many different modules which were running over a month, and each module was related to a feeling. So the idea was to have this light sculpture as a kind of entity which would resemble the human feelings and transmit like those feelings to the viewers. So you had anger, you had fear, you had joy, you had many different things. And yeah, here you can see the sound part, and here you can see the visual parts. Here you can see the tracking, and we had also a mode where if you had a stormy weather outside, suddenly the light cloud would start resembling a storm, which was quite funny. A lot of people liked it. And so yeah, now I will show you a bit of work which are more, so some works which are more related to what we will do, or what is the aim of the workshop, of this workshop. So so recently there are a lot of people working with 3D scans and point clouds, and I collected a little little collection here where I will show you some examples. So I don't know if you know, so there is a good artist working with 3D scans, Ryuichi Kurokawa, which is a Japanese media artist based in Berlin. This is the excerpt from a performance he did some years ago, where he played with a lot of nice point clouds, 3D scans of the city, of some areas in Berlin, and with sound and noise. Yeah, maybe the most famous artist which is currently working a lot with point clouds is Davide Guaiola. It's a Italian media artist which is based in London, and he scanned the forest and he displayed it in this very beautiful anodized aluminum plates. And yeah, this is a bit to show his process. So it's always starting from an image or from a 3D data sets, and then it's creating like also audiovisual artworks and generated videos, like you see here. It's very large. So yeah, you have like some generated elements which mix together with these paintings from Renaissance. Like he's very interested into classical painting, and his background is also motion design, so it's in between. But I won't spend so much time here, because I think I want to show you this one, which is a work from a collective of friends of mine. We met in several festivals, and they did this music video, which was recorded in real time and displayed in real time. So whatever you see here, it was recorded in real time. So no renderings, nothing. And this use a Kinect sensor. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's an infrared sensor which gives you the point cloud data, the depth data of the scene, and also the color data. And so yeah, this was a bit, here I introduce a bit this idea of the workshop that I got it together with Maxime, to have this kind of objects or scenarios that you guys can, and to link it with sound, basically recreating a kind of wunderkammer, we called it. So a kind of digital world where you can navigate into let's say memories or sound objects, I would call it. So each point cloud could be linked to a sound and could be affected in real time, but by this sound, and you can kind of go through these different stories that you guys want to tell. So it's now apart from the static, it's, I think, yeah, this was kind of a little bit similar to what I have in mind. But yeah, let's move on. So yeah, we talked about sound. So one very used real-time data, if we call it like this, it's sound. So a lot of people, media artists, are playing with sound, composing like audiovisual performances and VR installations. So there's one famous project with Point Cloud, which is from Marshmallow Laser Feast. Maybe you know them, but it's was quite famous some years ago. It's a VR installation where you can basically go through the eyes of an animal. So they simulated kind of what an animal can see in a forest, and yeah, and you could wear the headset, and suddenly you're immersed in this point cloud scenario where you have several different effects. I think one cool part of this video is actually the end. Let's see if it loads the end. But yeah, what's this? The opinion of this old guy, I think it's quite hilarious. But yeah, so basically,
well done, dudes. What a show! What a show! Unbelievable! Very clever.
okay, it was just fun. Yeah, so I don't know, here the whole system, it's quite impressive because the whole system is running in real time, and they have a lot of millions of points. Obviously you need to have a quite powerful machine to do that. Another guy who is working a lot with point clouds recently is Benjamin Badu. It's also motion designer, mostly working with Unity. And this is a series of works he's doing called Megalopolis, and it's basically also a virtual tour into point cloud scans, which this is not real time, so this is more a movie. I don't know if he has plans to have also VR installation. I don't think so. But I think it has a very nice aesthetic. I don't know if the resolution is good enough for you to see the details, but I will share the links of this presentation later on so you can see it. Yeah, so point clouds, another artist working with point clouds is Alex Guevara. He's also based in Berlin, and he's also using the same software we will use later. So all of this is made in Touch Designer, and here you can see this is an audiovisual work where he plays with point clouds and noise essentially, and sound. So you have yeah, live session where you have basically visuals entirely generated by sound. Yeah. Okay, I put this just because it's cool. So this is also a Russian collective called Tundra. They work a lot with laser. I also love to work with laser, and they do also real-time performances where they play with sound. Basically, everything you see here is sound generated. You see the people there, and it's a combination of projection and lasers, which is kind of cool when they do like this kind of merging on a screen of two different sorts of lights. I always like. And also this is made with Touch Designer. So yeah, as you will see, Touch Designer is quite, you can do a lot of stuff with it. Controlling lasers, controlling installations, controlling music, yeah. So almost there. So yeah, I wanted to show you a bit again about this generative aspects of sound. And this is a work from so it's a music video from Max Cooper. I don't know if you know, I guess you know it. One of the main touch designer programmer called Vincent Toussaint is a Canadian or French, I think, I don't know, media artist which works yeah, with generative data, art. And here you can see, I mean, I put this one because I think it's quite impressive that the whole video, it's real-time generated. So it created the whole kind of environment, which was then generated by several parts of the song. So everything you see here, it's somehow procedural, or the landscape, the floor, those animals or plants, they respond in real time to some parts of the songs. Yeah. So yeah, here you can see a bit more of the process. So yeah, he had basically a camera pointing this this part, and then obtaining this feeling of just moving through an infinite landscape, basically. Yeah. So the last project I would like to show you before going into the more technical side, or questions and answers if you have, are these two huge audiovisual works from White Void. White Void is also a studio based in Berlin, and they work a lot with light installation and sound. And I think these were like the most impressive works, audiovisual works that I've ever seen in my life. I don't know, maybe Jan also saw one of them. I don't remember. I guess you were there when they showed the other one, I think. But yeah, Christopher Bauder is a light artist and designer. And here they use kinetic mirrors and those very intense spotlights. So they developed also, just for this project, these spotlights which almost look like laser for how much is focused the light beam. Yeah, you had several moods where some of them were interacting with the visitors, and it was all exhibited in this huge space in Berlin. It almost looked like an alien kind of atmosphere. Called Kraftwerk. It's an old factory, industrial building, one of the biggest in Europe, I think. And it was used for big festivals, sadly not this year. This is another work, also from the same group. And this, in particular, this one was also controlled by Touch Designer. I also know the friend of mine was the programmer of this. The cool idea, so this is with laser light. So it's a kind of matrix of plastic balls which get hit by these very powerful laser beams. And you have the impression that they're glowing, but it's just the laser which is hitting the ball. And I know that was a crazy project technical-wise, because you had to synchronize motors with lasers, with sounds, and was a super crazy project, but was a super impressive light installations and sound performance. So all of these two works, they are. Yeah, the good thing when you develop real-time work is that you basically, each time you run it, it's different, and it lets you also improvise each time you run it. So if you want to use, it's a kind of dynamic workflow, let's say, and you can always improve. Yeah, so I guess I'm done with this. So yeah,
Ricky,
I will. Sorry,
Ricky, it's John. Interrupt you for a second. Just a couple of messages from the group chat. If you can later maybe share the names of all the artists you have mentioned, and maybe if you can type them in the Discord channel, like after the video.
So yeah, I'm using this. I don't know if you know this concept board. So basically, if you have an account that you can have for free, you can also access to this board directly.
Okay.
I think I send you, Jan, a link, but then I realized that you need to be registered. But yeah, I could either send you a list of all the links that I showed, or
that's amazing. Maybe if you can just share the link to the chat in Discord, and we can. Yeah,
sure. I will.
Maybe
do that.
we can also pull down the names if people don't want to make an account.
Yeah, sure.
And the second point, maybe regarding the board, if you can minimize the dragging and zooming, that would be great.
Okay. Sorry. Because I guess you. Yeah, sorry. I was a bit like it was a lot of stuff, so I had to run. Yeah, sure. I will share all the links and move a bit slower from now on. Yeah, so the last stuff that I wanted to show, it's some tests that I that I've done the last days with 3D scans that I received from Maxime. And it's also what we will do now. So I will show you how to import a mesh, an OBJ in this case, and have a sound reactive object like the one that I showed you before, and also how to have a kind of point cloud look, playing with noise. Unfortunately here the codec, one thing about point cloud is that the codec you are using to render the video out messed up with the quality of the, so, and here it's some tests that I've done where I just used the microphone as an input, and you can I will show you soon how to do this. So the idea was to have this kind of objects which are kind of or at least this is what I would like to try later on with your 3D scans, how to have these virtual objects getting destroyed or maybe just displaced by the sound that you recorded, to have like a system basically and go from one to the other. So I don't know if I was too fast or probably was a lot of stuff to say, but if you don't have any questions, maybe we have a little pause, I don't know, or shall I just go directly into the technical hardcore programming part? No, it's not hardcore, but
I don't know, someone was asking about the software. I just shared a link on the Discord channel. It can be downloaded for free and used for free forever, right?
Yeah.
And many
the resolution is limited though.
The resolution is limited, okay, but for like home use is fine, I guess, right?
Yeah, for what we will do, it's totally fine. You could just
I mean, I don't know if it makes sense to wait for people to download it, but it's probably gonna take too long, no?
I think so, also because I already uploaded the files I will produce now. So you guys can go take the file and just like, I don't know, if you don't have the software now running, you can just do it later on based on the file that I composed. Also, I will show you, because you can learn by just using the software. There's a lot of can you see my screen now, the software? No, wait.
Not yet.
Let's do this.
Ricky, there was a question on what the actual board you were using to show all the links was.
Sorry?
What's the name of the website that you're using for the board with all the links that you just had?
It's called Concept Board.
Concept Board.
Yeah.
Are there any?
Yeah, it's just more practical than Google Slides, because you always have these issues when you load videos that it doesn't load and blah, blah, blah. So we use it a lot at the company where I'm working to share like ideas. And I think it's quite practical to you can just drag and drop those videos from anywhere, also images. And it's very, very quick. Okay, so I don't know, shall I go into the technicalities? So this is how the software looks like. It's a blank board, and you have, if you double click, you have this menu, and you have different kind of sections. So you have comp operators, which are a combination of all of those. Tops, which are basically texture-based operator, where you can load videos, cameras, whatever it's pictures related. chop operators, which are channel operators, which is here it's where you can load sounds, for example. We will use some of those. And you can modulate or reshape sound waves or data you get from somewhere else. Then you have SOP operators, which are 3D stuff, like surface operators. So you have like boxes, you have yeah, a lot of tubes, or a lot of like also physical stuff that you can play with 3D geometries. Then you have MAT, which are our materials. That, which is the nerdy part, which is basically all the programming, Python-based programming and scripting, basically. And then this custom, which is, I don't know, they just introduced it this year. Honestly, I don't know what it is. So yeah, basically if you double click, you open this, and then you can select anything of here. So you can just, for example, put it here, and here you have ambient light. But yeah, so very quickly, I will show you. So another thing is that here you have a menu. If you click in this little thing, I don't know what it is. And here it's cool because you have a lot of stuff that you can just drag and drop like this. So they are like ready-made setups for example, rendering like this. So you have a geometry, a render, and lights, and a camera, and a material. I will go later on into this. But yeah, for now, let's start importing a FBX file. So we could use this arcball camera. It's basically a camera that lets you navigate into the thing. And let's start with importing this FBX. Actually, I would use an optimized one. So I reduced a bit the polygons for performance issues, so that I don't run into slow computer problems. So yeah, basically what you can see here is that you have a setup which is so to run this. Okay, let's start from this. So first, as you import the FBX, you have it automatically import the texture of the FBX and the mesh. So another thing is that by zooming in and out, you go into an operator and out of an operator. So I know it's hard to give a good introduction of this for people that never seen the node-based software before. But anyway, if you will have questions, I will answer later on. I think we don't have enough time to explain everything. So I will just start from here. So let's remove all of this and keep everything that we need. So as I said, you can, the easiest way, instead of creating camera, blah, 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 you can just go to the palette and select the arcball camera, drag and drop it on your moon, and you already have a 3D setup. You know that you can then, you can do this, and you can navigate. So yeah, so, but essentially what you need is light, a camera, a render, and that's it, basically. So what we could do, if you select a camera, you have this little menu with a lot of stuff. What we need now is to just have the camera pointing our FBX. So to do this, you can just drag and drop this, and in theory, oh, yeah, that's our model. So now, of course, okay. So if you click on this little blue spot here, the software lets you display the what you see in the render on the background, so you don't have a floating window all the time.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I just use a lot of quick clicking.
Yeah, I know
exactly what you're clicking on. So, like, for example, the loading the FBX file. Like, how do you go about doing that?
it's a drag and drop, you know.
So you drag it in where
you drag from anywhere in your laptop, and you're ready. You have the same. Yeah, you have this.
Okay.
So you just drag and drop it.
Okay.
The only thing that you need to take care of is this camera thing, because sometimes you lose your model, but if you put a look at to the name of the object, it will always point the object theoretically. The thing is, so I will just quickly show you this. I know that it's might be hard for some of you which never seen the software, but I mean, I already shared a lot of link in this Google Drive where you can basically dive more into the software and have some more slow basic tutorials. So anyway, what you need for rendering is a render, a light, at least one, which as you can see here, you can dim it or put it higher. I don't know, let's keep it to 1. Oops, to 1. And also you can have several lights. So if you just copy paste the light, you have something with 2 lights in your scene, and you can move the other one, for example, to have a better thing. Okay, so this is, let's say this is a basic setup where you have a renderer rendering your scene, 2 lights, camera, and your FBX. Now, what we want to do is we want to bring in the sound part. So how do we bring in the sound part? Again, I won't go into the details. There's a lot of stuff to say about this, but you can just go to your palette and select audio analysis, which is an already made tool which gives you basically a sound analyzing machine where you have all the thresholds, the smooth. It really looks like mixer basically, and we will use it to get our data from our sound file. So to import a sound file, so you can double click here, have the operators menu, go to chop, and then go to audio file in, and here would automatically load the sample files from the software, but you, by clicking this plus here, so you select the audio file in, you click this, and here you can select stuff from your computer. So your recordings, it accepts several kind of files. I will go to this to just load in this bird sound thing that I used to play a bit with, but you can basically load whatever file you want. And you see the visual output of the sound that you loaded. Now, what you want to have, you want to connect this to here, very simply. And then right-click on the node and choose none. So here, now you see the channels that are being triggered already, you know? So this is kind of interesting. I mean, it's if you go into this operator, so each pre-made operator is a huge list of things that people developed and shared. which is also quite cool. But you don't need to learn this basically to just do this operation, because it's already made. So here we already have our sound file being analyzed. If you want to hear the sound that you're analyzing, you need to have an audio stream out. And oh no, sorry, it's audio device out, I think. Yeah, audio device out. So here you can plug it here, and now I hear it on the speakers, you know. This is the sound that is basically get analyzed. So yeah, to be able to see, to hear what you are doing, you need this audio device out. Okay, so here already we are triggering something. Now I will just show you. Let's connect a null. Okay, now we already have a null. So now here we can decide what to trigger. This sound file that I used, it's bird, so the high level is what is basically most dynamic. So we need to select first what we want to use. So right click on the node, go on select, and here this lets you select the channel names that you want to have. So we want to have high. Now I only have the high channel. And yeah, so as you can see, yeah, this basically triggers the high channel. Here, one thing, if you go on the audio analysis thing, here you can decide if you notice the high, it's a bit, the threshold is too low or too high. Here you basically change all of this. Yeah, you have the control about this. And now, very quickly, I will show you how to link this data to a feature in our model. So to do that, you need to split the screen. So there is on the top left, those modes. If you click this one, you have two separate screens, windows. And on the one on the right, you go into the FBX, double click or zoom in again into the default. And you're here. So here you see, okay, let me just move the camera. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, so let me just move the camera a little bit so we can look at our model a bit better while I'm doing this. Okay, so yeah, so here you can basically, you are inside the model, you have your diffuse map on the model and your mesh. What you want to do is you want to alterate the mesh. To do that, you right click on the node and select noise. So you already see the effect of this. Now it's a bit slow because it's I also have some other windows open, but what you can also do, you can, let's see if this works, you can also reduce the polygons of your mesh, and this would theoretically give me more frame per second. Yeah, exactly. So just for the purpose of this tutorial, I would reuse it quite a lot. You can see each time you can see the frame per seconds you're running here and your general timeline down there. So you can also stop it, so nothing would work. but you can also just start it again. Yeah, so you already see the effects of noise on your geometry. So the geometry is being displaced by the noise, and you can control the exponent of the noise, having something bigger, smaller. Let's keep it something like this, so you can, okay, no. Now, to have your actually model here, acting like your noise here, you need to click on these two dots. So these two dots is basically what is displayed and what is rendered. So you don't want to have this geometry rendered, but you want to have this geometry rendered. So once you switch on this, you can already see here that your, yeah, now poly-reduced model is being displaced by the noise. Yeah, so now how to link this to sound? It's very easy. This is the last step. So basically, you want to have this value here, link it to the value of the noise. So you can, in this case, just play with the amplitude. So you just select this plus on the select, and then drag and drop this one on the amplitude and use chop reference. So now already you can see here that the model we have, it's being affected by the bird sound. If I now turn on the audio, you see that this is now being affected by the sound. Okay, let's bypass this. So there are a lot of more stuff you can do with this. I'm not gonna go into this, but I just wanted to show you a little trick to have this visualized as a point cloud. So what you want to do, so it's really simple. We will double click on the right window and use line material. The line material is visualized basically the geometry, displays vector stuff on the geometry of the object. So here what we want to have, it's points and not lines. So how to assign this material? You go so you go back on the default geometry, and where you select the default geometry, you have material here. So now it's when you drag and drop your FBX into Touch Designer, it's automatically map the texture related to the FBX to the object. So what you want to do, you don't want to have this, but you want to have this material instead. And suddenly, once you drag and drop this here, you have your point cloud being displayed. And yeah, so you have several parameters that you can decide. You know, the size of the points. You can also draw lines and have something like this. Maybe you would like. I can go back and have this as a, yeah, here you can already see the result. So this is if you turn on the sound here, you can already see the result. Now it's a very simplified mesh. I also tried with the high definition one that Maxime sent me, and it's much nicer, of course, but it's taking a bit more GPU, of course. Yeah, so in general, what you have here, so let me close this, what you have here, what you select here, you can just drag and drop it to any parameters of the thing that of your material, for example, or your geometry. So I can now show you another example that I've done where I played with a bit more stuff. Let me close this one and bring this one in here. So actually what I could do, this is what I could do is just show you directly in here, because I have them saved, and this is gonna affect less my GPU. So you can also save your components. So basically, I created over the years a big list with a lot of tools that I use, and which one was it? Was this one? Yes. So it's not working. Interesting. Yeah, but essentially you can, maybe I can just show you like this. Essentially what you can do, it's basically according to what you want to modify. So you can modify several parameters of your geometry. You can modify, for example, the lights of your scene. What I wanted to show you is this. I need to relink all the files. Okay, let's try with the microphone. And let's reload. 500. Okay, so what do we have here? Yeah, this was the high resolution mesh. You can see the difference. It's a bit more blobby, and I guess not now, but basically what you can do, it's you can have it running, you can use your microphone as an input, basically. So you instead of using an audio file in, you can use an audio device in. So you select here, and you can have basically your model reacting to your voice. Now, I don't think you will see it because this is quite slow. But yeah, basically the model would move like you want. So anyway, I will load all of this in the, so this is what will you receive. Maybe I show you just the file that I would load, so you are not completely lost in this whole technical stuff. So where was it? Yeah. So this one is the patch that you will see. Give me a second, it's loading. I know that this might be quite complex for someone who never saw the software before to just. So yeah, this is. Yeah, this is the file. So it's a review.
We see your face now, Ricky.
Huh?
We're seeing your face.
Okay. This one.
And is it shared where?
I am sharing it now. No, sorry. What the fuck? Why I cannot show the... Can you see it now? No.
No. I still see your camera.
What about now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is shared on this Google Drive doc. I can go to see it if you want.
This is the same in the same folder that you share with us, no? So we can just post it on the...
Yeah, exactly. It's...
I put all your links and a link to this folder already in that document that we've been using already, the main document. So if you guys go to that documents and scroll down to the bottom, there's the first blue link is files from Riccardo's tutorial, which is all the files that he's saying he made for you guys. And then
so it's essentially this file that you see now. Can you see now the screen again or not? Yeah. So this is the file that you will receive. If you want, I can explain you a little bit now how. So it's basically what we did before, with a little bit more math to filter better the audio, and several different kind of moods or effects on the 3D model. I can show you this now, actually.
Maybe I think Ricky, the best thing, because like, you know, already in this definition there's like 30 components, and I have no idea what they are. I
knew that it would be like this.
No, but I think the best way for us to play with it is to understand where can we change the input.
Exactly.
Like which one
exactly. This is exactly what This is exactly what I will show you now. So, okay, let's do this again. I will keep this window here so you can see the modification that I'm doing. So right now I have my microphone as a device in. So if I do this, the model change. This is essentially what we had before. Don't touch anything of this. Or maybe I can just simplify it again. I don't know. I mean, if you will spend time on it, you can learn from the stuff that I did here. So you can anyway use it. Just don't change it. The sound part, I would suggest you to change directly from the audio analysis. The thing that you can play with, and it's fun, it's here. So in your FBX, if you go inside, double click again in default, and you have this this stuff that we had before. Before we only had these two. Now I can show you several kind of noise. So the nice thing of this is that according to the noise that you choose, you can modify different parameters. So here I have a point position and the noise is sparse, and I have this result. So if you click on these two dots, you deactivate this component and you activate the next one. This is a different kind of effect. It's more getting fat. You can do the same for this one. This is a spiky one. And yeah, so what you can also do is playing with the colors. So you can link the sound to the point color, diffuse color. So each parameter of the noise you can basically change. What I normally use is the amplitude because it's the easiest one. So you see here, whenever you have a sound input, you have this effect. And then you can also play with the UV map of the texture, for example. Yeah. Other thing is on this the same file. So if you split the window again, so you are in now, this part is inside this node. You do this because you need to link another material to the object. I know that it's a bit tricky to do it for the first time. But if you drag and drop these line materials that I showed you before, do we have something? Not. Why don't we have anything? I don't understand. Now theoretically should work. Why can't I see? I think the camera was probably off. Interesting. Okay, anyway, you can link this line material to visualize point, as I showed you before. Now I did a test, which sadly it's not loading, where I displayed the, you can already see it here, the normal vectors of each point according to the sound. Why is this not showing? I don't know. But yeah, essentially, I will fix this and maybe replace the file that I put it there. And yeah, I guess I didn't have time to do a PDF with all the steps. There's a lot of material out there. I already put a lot of links. If you're interested into point clouds, I can show you. So right now we use the OBJ, so it was not a point cloud, but it's an OBJ. And what you can also do is to use the actual point file. These are some tests that I did some days ago, and in here you obviously the mesh is much more dense because I use the full resolution map, and I created basically a kind of thing where you can deform stuff, so you can link each of these parameters to anything. Some combination are really cool, like I don't know if you, I don't know, you can have like this kind of effect of destroying objects. Yeah, and the good thing is that when you basically use a point file, it's much better for your computer and graphic card to process the data. So you basically what you do is you instance. I can show you the batch maybe, or maybe not. I don't know if this makes sense. But yeah, the batch is a bit more complex when you deal with point clouds. So yeah, here, according to the values of the noise, basically you can, have this kind of look, which to me is kind of interesting. Yeah, I have to say the camera in this program, it's a bit shitty, as any software which was not born as a 3D software. But yeah, you can create a lot of cool stuff with this. Yeah, I don't know. This is just some experiments that I've done. the last days, and I was thinking, yeah, to do and test your model with your sounds at some point, and maybe share, yeah, I don't know, share with you the progress if you are interested. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I'm sorry if I was maybe too fast in these tutorials. I think it's quite tough to deal with these kind of things if you never seen the software or anything similar before. But I hope that you will get into it, and I will be happy to share my knowledge with you if you are in need. So yeah.
Thanks, Ricky. Thank you. No, I think it's great to see what's behind it. Like it's very, for me, it's very complex. Like I can imagine how many steps there's behind each one of these projects, but it's very exciting, the idea that once you set up the logic, then you can create infinite results. No, just
Exactly. Yes.
Giving continuous inputs. So I think that's great. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of technical questions, and I think it would be great if you could just check the Discord chat once in a while.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm sorry about that.
No. I mean, in the next days. I mean, I'm sure I have a lot of technical questions and the particular steps that I will post questions about.
Yeah, honestly, to me would be great. I mean, now you can use my patch to do the. I haven't showed you how to export a movie. I will show you now how to export a movie. Yeah, to me it's more, if you are willing to learn the software, then just start from the beginning. There are a lot of very nice tutorials, very easy to follow, that you can use to learn. Now, I encourage you to just use my patch to do the what you want with the point clouds. I can actually make a little list of all the steps that you have to do. I think it's actually makes sense for you. Yeah,
maybe
I think it's.
maybe it would be
Yeah,
very
I thought it
helpful
was actually easier, but I realized that it's not that easy. Maybe from someone that never seen the software. I can show you now very quickly. It's super easy how to export a movie. So if you want, you can select normally the out node that you have, and you just do this. This is very easy. So you go on File, Export Movie, and this would pop up. It will ask you top video. You just drag and drop this one. Here you have your video. And then if you want to record the audio, then you need to go on your audio file, on your audio device out, and drag and drop it there. I don't want to do this now because it's going to mess up with my speakers. But basically, you can decide which codec you want to use. I strongly suggest you, if you want to render out point clouds, to go with HubQ, which is a very lightly compressed codec. It's will be a big file, but will look very cool, the point cloud. If you go with H.264 for point clouds, it's horrible. For geometry, this works great. It's also makes the file quite small. Here you can control the quality of the output you want to have, the format, RGBA or RGB. And here, this refers to the timeline you have here, down here. So if you want to export more than 600 frames, you need to edit this. So 6,000, for example, 6,000. And now here you can type whatever value between 1 and 6,000. So normally what I do, like 1,000 frames is okay. Here you have your file name. So I don't know, click here, wherever you wanna save this. I can show you on the desktop. Yes. And then you press start. So here I will render 300 frames. You press start, and now it's rendering in real time. So you don't need to wait that long. Basically, it's running, as you can see, at 39 frames per second, rendering at 30 frames per second. Now I'm rendering an animation, so probably it's gonna look a bit weird. But you saw the process, basically, how to... Yeah, now it's kind of slow. If you... Because this VLC sometimes has problems, but if you open it in whatever program, it will look good. Also, I strongly suggest you to have to export HubQ when you want to do point clouds, and H.264 codec when you want to do geometry. Yeah. So yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Maybe it was a lot of information in very short time, I know. But I hope you got some inspiration and some motivation to continue on this project. Yeah.
Are there any questions, comments, ideas from the crowd?
I just want to say, like, it's a big task, Ricky, to try to teach someone who's never used this program in under an hour how to then make a finished product. So it's like I definitely empathize with you in that sense. But I think what's great is that there's a series of links that you put together in the doc that we've all been using. I'd encourage everyone to kind of look through those in terms of introductions to Touch Designer, because there's good sort of tutorials on just how to understand the navigation of Windows and clicking around, right? Which is one of the hardest parts, I think, of learning a new software, is just knowing how to just basically, like, you know, understand your way through it. And then you know, load up the file that you already put together and see if you can swap out the files for your own FBX files and just take it from there, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just thought to hopefully give some inspirations more than all the technical stuff, because I know that it's something that it's kind of hard to digest if you don't have any knowledge prior to this. So yeah.
No,
sorry,
I think it's
too technical, maybe.
I think it's going to be also very interesting to see how all the different scans stand up against each other with their own ambient sounds.
Yeah.
And how they all kind of, you know, deform in different ways, because the sound in each city is different. So even just by changing the inputs in the patch that you have prepared, I think that's already kind of a way to get into the software at the very basic, but already have a result. So I think that's great. And I would kind of push for that, just to try to export the video as quickly as possible without, you know, getting lost in the technicalities. Yeah, I think that would be nice to have.
I mean, I thought also that at the end, you guys, you can work with whatever software you want to do this. This is just was just an example on how to do it in 10 minutes for someone who knows. But yeah, whatever, you can do it. I don't know, in Cinema or I don't know, whatever 3D software you're using. There are also some possibilities to do it. What I like from this software is that it's real time, so you see the effects without rendering. You can use the same asset for a live performance, for example, or for a VR installation, for example. So you don't need to, you know, you don't need to render, basically. Like theoretically, you can collect FBX, build a network of effects, and just run it as a VR installation, which is a bit the idea that I had. So you can also, plug an HTC Vive and have it your character moving in the 3D space in Touch Design. Or you can use whatever other software like Unity, Unreal, and do something like Maxime showed the other day. Whatever, also a real-time software, you can also do very cool stuff with Unreal and Unity, similar to what I showed you. Much better actually, because the render engine is better. But yeah, I think for you to start learning, I think Touch Designer is a good option, because you learn very fast and you have your kind of outcomes very quickly out there. Yeah. From my experience, I know Unity and Unreal, and I know that Unity and Unreal are a bit tricky. Like you need to get into the software. Definitely, you need to invest more time to do this kind of stuff, I think. Yeah.
I think what's really nice about node-based software, and I think it's a particular type of world getting into node-based design. It's ways to kind of package data forms and then find new ways of connecting and manipulating those data forms, right? Whereas something like Unity is much more code-based. You have to know a language to do it. I find if you understand the principles of Grasshopper, it's kind of similar to getting into these node-based.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because it's about just what is the input, what is the output, and how do I manipulate kind of those variables and those data sets.
Yeah.
It works with everything we have.
Is that
point clouds, which is mesh models, which is images, which is sound files, and you can expand that.
Yeah. I mean, and you can use several inputs. You can use, I don't know, you have nodes that you can just drag and drop for, I don't know, control a Kinect or a camera or a microphone, or I can show you, I don't know, maybe not, but yeah, I also did some experiments with point clouds and Twitter feeds, where I used the tweets related to a topic to destroy models. I'm still under construction, so I don't have so much out there. But yeah, basically you can use whatever data as an input. That's kind of the good thing about Touch Designer, that you can use it also as a just pure nerd coding software, but you can also just create visuals. You can do 3D stuff or sound stuff, audio-reactive environments. It's plenty of stuff, control lights, lasers. Yeah. So
is there, you think it's also like, it could also be an alternative to actually rendering for like architectural projects?
So yeah, I mean, now at the office we are
going beyond the idea of the the perfectly photoshopped image, of course.
Honestly, I would use Touch Designer for real-time stuff. If you need to render a video, you can also do it there. But the kind of aim of the software is to run real-time. So, and also the shading and the render capabilities are limited if you think of Unreal or Unity.
Okay.
And also, if you want to render an image or an interior, then you need to render it. Like, I wouldn't use Touch Designer for this. I would use it more to do generative stuff, which runs in real time. Yeah, or I mean, this sound example is actually quite good, because yeah, I mean, you can plug a microphone and just immediately deform your model, for example. You can, of course, render stuff from Touch Designer, as I showed you, and it's also good because there is basically zero render time. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have people rendering out also movies, generative stuff. I showed you the Japanese guy that he is also doing like motion design or like audiovisual stuff, which are rendered and used as video pieces or installations. So you can definitely do that, yes. I think after a certain level, it's kind of, so it's very easy on a certain level. And then once you want to achieve something nicer, comparable to Unreal and Unity, then it becomes way harder because, yeah, you need to basically code some shaders and ray tracing and all this kind of stuff. But you can definitely achieve some results which are similar to what you have in Unreal and Unity.
Mm. Okay.
I don't know if there are some questions.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything.
Well, there were questions about the video export, but I think
yeah, the video export is limited to 2080 by, yeah. This, unfortunately, for the free version, it's like that. Yes, I'm sorry.
It's still great for Instagram. It's fine for Instagram.
I mean, theoretically, the best would be if you can share your models and sound, and we could work together with Maxime. Also, Maxime had his own idea to deal with this. But yeah, I mean, if you buy the software, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
but yeah, of course, it was more like an experiment for you to play with sound and 3D scans. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can wrap it up then if there's no more question.
Actually, I have a question.
Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Can you? Yeah. I was wondering about using a DAW as an input and then using that as kind of like the audio source to manipulate the model.
Use what? Sorry.
A DAW, DAW. Like, what does that stand for?
Okay.
Audio, like a FL Studio or
yeah, for sure. I mean, you have a node which is a direct link to Ableton Live if you use Ableton.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have, I can show. Is my screen still shared? Yeah. So here you have, I think it's yeah, Ableton link. So yeah, basically you can output several. Yeah, I mean, I won't go into details of this. Also, I'm not so familiar with this. But basically, you can sync whatever Ableton device you have to have, for example, MIDI signals. You have also MIDI controller.
Okay.
Kind of thing. If you want, you know, we can link your device to have MIDI in and use those to. This is actually the perfect way to control your models more accurately through MIDI or Ableton links. So it's more directly from Ableton, so you don't have to mix with microphones and stuff like this. Yeah, you can definitely do that if you want. I can share some links of good tutorials for this. Yeah, I will put more stuff on the drive by tonight. Yes, definitely. Anyway, I forgot to mention that you can also discover the software by yourself by just clicking here. Sorry, here. It opens up. Okay, now it opens here. But basically, web page where you have all the explanation about this particular operator. Can check everything. This is the basically a wiki forum where you can understand anything about each operator, and also as I said, you have already composed stuff here and here, so you also have some very useful things. You have generators, you have image filters, which are quite cool. So you basically you can use whatever filters you find here, drag and drop it, connect it to your scene, and have a glowing point cloud. Yeah, so each of these effects you can can have them displayed. Actually, right? I said you should do this to see it. But now you can see it. So yeah, I don't know. You can go crazy with this stuff now, and I'm not gonna like yeah go on, but yeah, you can do a lot of things. All of those are image filters, so you have feedback, you have also example down there, change color, a lot of stuff. It's similar to After Effects or Photoshop. Effects, something which is cool, it's, where was it? Oh yeah, pixel relocator, it's quite cool. You can do also point cloud looks stuff with pixel relocator. I think I did. Okay, the file is missing. Yeah, I can't show you because I changed my laptop.
I think we're running long. We need to wrap up. Please, guys, post your questions on the Discord channel, and then we, as usual, we're going to collectively find solutions to specific problems. Yeah, and I think it's just about really, as you said, going crazy and starting to explore all the options, because it's like so many, and you know it would be impossible to mention all of them. I think we already got like a very good idea of the potentialities of the potential, which I think it's what matters at this point. So yeah, let's move the conversation on the chat over the next days. And thank you so much, Ricky. I think this was great. It's very exciting. I'm looking forward to see what happens after this.
Yeah, me too, actually.
And yeah, just a reminder for everyone for tomorrow that we're going to have an inspirational interlude. It's going to be a very short conversation with Nicola, who's a researcher and sound artist. So I think it's interesting to participate. If you have particular questions about how to capture sound, or even to brainstorm together about the relation between space and sound, and how sound define the notion of space, which I think is a kind of necessary complementary part to the technical capture, to start to brainstorm on what is the meaning of the sound that we embed into our videos and our models. Yeah, so as usual, we're gonna send you a reminder on the chat. Yeah, and I think that's it. Stay safe.
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, good luck with your work, and I'm looking forward to see the results.
Yeah, have fun out there. That's the point.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.